Hi there, and welcome to Steeler Sanctuary. And if you're wondering why I am talking so much at the beginning, it's because Leanne is off doing fun family holiday things, and we're going to be here covering Week 15, which I've been waiting for a long time to talk about, and we don't talk about the games ahead of time. So as we normally do, we'll start with Bob and go around. Bob, in a couple words, what are you feeling about this game?
Trepidation, betrayed, bewildered that George Pickens isn't going to play. Now there's talk from Dulac that he might not play against Baltimore either. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it. I'm nervous.
Yeah, same with me. This is the most talented team they played maybe in a couple years. So this is a big test for the Steelers. Injuries are really screwing things up. We'll see. I don't have super high hopes on this one.
Well, boys, we're going to war with the weapons we have. It is what it is. So, I feel like they've got a puncher's chance. That's how I feel about this, to be honest.
The state of Pennsylvania championship, right? That's what Tomlins keeps saying. The state of Pennsylvania championship.
It is. And before we dive too deep into it, just a couple news and injury and stuff. Of course, we know George Pickens officially grade 2 hamstring, definitely out for this game, possibly out for longer. But let's all hope that dude bounces back. Larry Ogunjobi is dealing with a groin injury. Montrevious Adams might be back there after 5 straight practices. The thing that's concerning a lot of people now is just like the George Pickens popping up with a hamstring a week ago. Now Deshaun Elliott has missed 2 straight practices with a hamstring, and this is a very good wide receiver group. So before we dive into the really, really important stuff, I want to start with some kind of interesting stuff. Russell Wilson is undefeated against the Eagles, but the Steelers haven't beat the Eagles in Philadelphia since 1965. So starting with Dave and go around, which one of those 2 things do you think is going to change?
Oh, goodness. I would like to say that Russell Wilson's going to keep his streak alive, but I got to be realistic, guys. This Philly team's a wagon. They're playing so good. You look at their stats. Saquon Barkley's ridiculous. After doing a deep dive and then watching a little bit of the tape, he could be MVP, guys. He really could. He's playing that good. He scares the daylights out of me. I don't know.
No, I'm with you, Dave. Like I don't. After seeing that they're averaging 190 rushing yards per game, I was just like, yeah, this is going to be rough. There is a little kink in the armor though, but we'll get into it. Yeah,
he's averaging 6 yards a carry.
Yeah,
it's fucking ridiculous.
6.1 to be exact. It's ridiculous. So this is going to be. I'm sorry. I think Russell Wilson's streak ends. I mean, we're talking about a different streak that's lasted 50 fucking years. So, yeah, I
don't know. Looks like Vaughn in the chat is pointing out that Deshaun Elliott being down.
He's one of the best tacklers. He's right. He's out.
How are the Steelers getting hamstrings this late in the season? I mean, Pickens with a hamstring, now Elliott with a hamstring. What the heck is going on?
They replaced the whole training staff this year, right? I mean, they should go back to the old guys again because these soft tissue injuries are getting ridiculous now. This is not good.
Pickens said he did it getting out of bed. Is that true?
I'm not even going to speculate on what he was doing in bed to pull a hammy.
Apparently,
we have to put a rating on this episode.
Us 54-year-olds hurt ourselves just getting out of bed. 24-year-old.
So he was just in the bed.
I don't know what's going on there. I'm not going to speculate any further.
Goodness. So, Bob, you think the streak is staying alive, that we're going to lose in Philly again?
If Pickens had been playing, and now I think Vaughn has a great point about if Deshaun Elliott's out, right, as far as I'm concerned, put Kyle Allen in the game and let's just treat it like a preseason game and move on. We can't afford to have anybody else hurt. Empty the practice squad, get everybody out there. Look, I would love to win this game. I was really looking forward to this game, but it's more important to be healthy going into the playoffs. And we give Mike Tomlin a lot of crap, and I personally give Mike Tomlin a lot of crap for the losing streak in the playoffs. I could give a shit that we go 9-8 or 10-7, and woohoo, we're in the playoffs and get blown out in the first round. But in fairness, there is legitimacy to not having Antonio Brown, not having Le'Veon Bell, not having pieces like TJ last year in the Buffalo game. I don't know if TJ would have, TJ always makes a difference, but I don't think we win the game just because TJ's out there. But there is legitimacy to questioning guys have key injuries that Tomlin has had to try to overcome. Hadn't done a great job of overcoming it, but at the same time, there is legitimacy to it. So at this point, Baltimore is the only game that matters. I want to beat Philly. I want to beat Kansas City. I definitely want to beat the Bengals, but Baltimore is the only game that matters. Rest, make sure everybody's good for the Ravens game.
He's right.
Yep. But you know what happens if they lose to Philly? Baltimore is going to win against the Giants. We know that. So you run the risk of going to that Baltimore game and you're losing your AFC North lead if you lose that game too. So it's, as much as I'd like to just brush this game off, keeping that 2-game lead going into that Baltimore game would be nice.
Well, but remember one thing. So when we play Baltimore, if we beat them, and I think right? I think we will. Yeah. That's it. We clinched the division.
But if you lose, then they're tied with 2 games to go.
I think right? Bob needs.
Oh yeah, if we lost to Philly and lost to the Ravens, yes.
Yeah.
I think Bob's just saying it's important to rest these guys this game if they're not healthy because we have to have them for Baltimore.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the thing.
I have a feeling
Bob's getting at.
I have a feeling we're not going to see Pickens until Kansas City. The way things are looking right now.
I saw someone on Twitter not told Bengals they're thinking about sitting him out for 3 games.
However long it takes to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. As far as I'm concerned.
That is a good point. That's 10 games. Wow. Yeah, 3 games in 10 days.
Yeah.
I think we play Baltimore no matter what, right? Either you're the 3-6 or the 6-3 at this point. It's just whether it's in Baltimore or in Pittsburgh.
Goodness. Well, let before we know the Pickens thing, but let's jump into what everybody is should be most scared of. You got Saquon Barkley and David. What did you say there were? Was it 190 yards? Well, you have that cannonball going up against this brick wall because the Steelers on average allow 83 yards. Total, not 2 individual back. 83 yards on the road. We are one of the best road rushing defenses. Those are 2. Which one breaks, David? I mean, is Saquon going to? And by the way, we haven't allowed more than 70 yards to an individual back, including Derrick Henry, since the bye.
Well, basically, look, Saquon Barkley's got 1,623 yards rushing, guys. That's a fucking lot. That's number 1, obviously, out of 49 halfbacks to qualify. He's got 11 rushing TDs. Yeah, the Steelers are usually, top 4 against the run. And they've been better lately. They did have a couple games they started to look bad against the run, but lately the Steelers have been better. But comparing who you're facing compared to what you're going to be facing this week is a big difference. The Eagles, when taking a deep dive, they really lean on Saquon Barkley. Like, if you look at their passing yards per game, they're 31st in the league in passing. Yeah. That is wow. But it just catapults to number 1 with rushing. So that tells me that this whole offense goes through Saquon Barkley. I know we hear Hurts, we hear A.J. Brown, we hear Devonta Smith. I'm sorry, no. This team leans heavily on Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I would even go so far as leans almost exclusively on Saquon. Now, one thing about our rush defense, yes, we only give up 83 yards. We're really, really good. You know who also was really, really good against the run? The Ravens. And Barkley, it took a while, but he ended up over 100 yards and he wore him down, and kind of what you would think Derrick Henry would be able to do if Baltimore actually knew how to use Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Philly knows how to use Saquon Barkley, and they just keep those Quadzilla just keeps coming at you.
Yeah.
So it's a great test for the run defense, but knock on wood, if Deshaun Elliott isn't playing, there might be a long day at the office. I know Cam has played pretty well this year. I mean, he's played great this year. I shouldn't qualify that. He's played great this year. But we've seen gashes here and there, And the difference is when, kind of like Chase Brown, when Saquon gashes you, he's going to the house. So we got to figure out a way to slow that down. But at the same time, I go back to that other point of, man, I don't know that I want to see Cam on the field for 80% of the snaps against Philly, because I'd rather see him 80% against Baltimore.
Yep. What's Ogunjobi's status? Did we talk about that? Did he miss again today?
No. He's probably going to be missing with the groin, and Loudermilk's going to fill in. That's the expectedness. Now, normally I would say that was a big loss, but Ogunjobi's had an iffy last few games, especially against the run. I mean, early in the season he was his strength, but to me, weirdly enough, that's not a big loss, and mainly because we got Highsmith back. Highsmith putting him back to me is the biggest key in this game, because that's an elite pass run stopper that we're going to need on that edge.
And
so
Adams,
it's Cam and Highsmith.
So if Adams is back, he's going to start over Loudermilk. They'd be crazy not to use Adams. There's no way.
Well, I don't know if are they the same position, because at least the article I read from I think it was Faraba, he had them in two separate things. He said that because Ogunjobi wasn't starting, Loudermilk would start there, and then he separately said that Montravius Adams was going to start. So that might be. I don't know if Montravius can fill in for Ogunjobi. I don't know what their specific
Adams is
things
a nose usually, where Loudermilk's more of an end.
And Mean Green brings up a good question here. Which back is better? I mean, they're really two different kind of backs with Barkley and Derrick Henry. Henry's more of the power back, although Derrick Henry can take it to the house. Yeah, they're both great in slightly different ways. I think the difference is Philly uses him. They use Barkley, and Baltimore. Yeah, they use him, but I mean, like against us, what, he touched the ball once in the second half, maybe twice. So, I mean, we shut him down, but I mean, honestly, Baltimore kind of shut him down for us.
I think this is a game you could see Minka in the box a lot more. They might move him up as like an extra linebacker. Let the Eagles take shots with see if they can bait him into taking shots with their passing game, and not giving the ball to Barkley so much. Maybe you load the box up and make them throw. Yeah, Minka's a great tackler. He had 100 tackles a couple years in a row, so maybe he finally earns his money this year and gets about 12, 13 tackles in this game. That would be nice.
We're talking about guys that are important to tackle. You don't have to go far for the next guy, because Jalen Hurts, 544 yards rushing, 13 rushing touchdowns, and a lot of those from the tush push. And me and Bob are watching the clip of Landon Roberts being asked, how do you stop that? I don't know if he was being cocky or coy, but he just kind of looked at the camera with arched eyebrows like, well, I guess we'll see what we can do. And I feel uneasy. I'm like, you can't be that coy about the tush push. So start with Bob. How do you think we're going to do against Jalen Hurts, the tush push? Can we stop that?
I don't know. I mean, certainly, with Jason Kelce, it was probably as close to unstoppable as possible. Yeah, I think it can be done. Yeah, other teams get stopped doing it. But Philly, they invented it or whatever. To be honest with you, what I wish we would do, if you're playing Philly, okay, fine. You want to play the tush push game? I think if you took, let's say Najee, because he's a big back, and you had him take snaps all week and get ready, you tell me two guys pushing Najee in the back couldn't get 3 yards, maybe 4?
Oh, we could do it. We could do it easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you got to be committed to it and practice it. Like Philly's committed to it. They practice it every day.
Yep.
Well, I don't know that other teams practice it to that level.
My point being is, if Philly wants to play that way. Go out on first down and run the tush push 3 downs in a row. And if you get the first down, keep running it until they get so fucking sick of it they don't even want to run it.
Yeah. Except they have Jalen Carter and a couple of good defensive linemen there.
They got some Pro Bowl guys that would be like,
and the Steelers aren't as good at it. I don't know if I want to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You could do it with Russell. You might be able to do it with Justin Fields. But I'd want to do it with, to be honest with you, I'd want to do it with Darnell Washington. You tell me Darnell Washington takes the snap.
The big guns.
takes 2 or 3 steps forward, that's 5 yards. The league would outlaw that play so fast if you just committed to it. It'd be boring as hell to watch, but
keep them out of 3rd and short in the goal line. That's the way you beat them.
Yeah,
make them do 3rd and long. That's the key, because otherwise they're too good at that.
Just make Jalen Hurts throw the ball.
So other than boring them, which is an interesting case, Dave, how do you stop the tush push, man?
I don't think you do. Like I said, you keep them out of 3rd and long, short, and goal line, and hope for the best. I mean, you could have, Landon Roberts try to do a missile play and just take somebody's head off, get like a 5-yard running start, and try to time it. If you're offsides, who cares? Because they're going to get it anyway.
I'm shocked nobody has done that, to be honest with you. That's what I think is how you stop it. Oh, yeah, you can get your yard or two, but when Jalen Hurts gets a concussion and is out, good luck running that with Kenny Pickett.
I mean, I would seriously take some shots. If they're going to do that, let Landon Roberts, like I said, take a 3-yard thing, time it. If he gets offside, screw it. Send a message. Put a lick on him, and maybe they'll think twice about it, but good luck with that. They're so good at it. Like, they invented it. They're nearly unstoppable.
Any positivity, David, or we're not going to stop it at all?
Well, with Jalen Hurts, I mean, as soon as I saw the offensive passing yards rankings being 31 out of 32 teams, I was like, whoa, what in the world's going on here? Only throwing for 180.6 yards a game. I decided to do a little deep dive here. So I went in and looked up like what his grade was. I know it's PFF, but whatever. So his overall grade is only a 76.6. And then his rushing grade's 90.1, but his passing grade is only a 66.5. That's 34th out of 66 QBs.
He's struggling a little bit. They have good receivers. There's no excuse.
I was like, okay, that's not good. I was like, what in the world? So then I looked at the last 5 games. In the last 5 games, he has 14 sacks, only 6 TDs, and only 1 interception, though. So he hasn't been throwing picks. But he's only had 2 games in the last 5 with over 200 yards passing. Yeah. It's literally he's been in the 100 has been his average last 5 games, except for 2 of them. So he's not throwing the ball well, or they're just leaning on the run so much with Barkley.
That's it.
Something's up. And I think that's why you're seeing the thing with him and A.J. Brown not getting along and stuff. I think it's because A.J. Brown's frustrated because Hurts is not getting the job done. I mean, he's doing really well rushing, of course. And I mean, look, he's got 16 touchdowns on the season, passing. So, it's nothing to sneeze at. But let's think about this. Russell Wilson has 12. He's only 4 behind him and didn't play the first 6 games, guys. That tells me a lot. So, honestly, I think
that's a good point, Tom.
Yeah, literally, and that's a great point. And I just think that honestly, we're getting a little too hyped up on the thing with Hurts. I think it's more about him with his legs than it is him throwing. And I think honestly, we need to give him and Saquon Barkley the Lamar and Henry treatment.
Yeah,
it needs to be
that's
the game. Plan. It needs to be the game plan. They need that. That's how you have a chance this game on defense to stop them.
I mean, if they keep Barkley under 100 yards, they probably win. They probably win the game.
I think they definitely win.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how the offense does against that defense.
Well, if Elliott wasn't out, then I feel a lot fucking better about it. But now that he's out, shit.
I mean,
we don't know he's out yet. We just know he's on the injury list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, who's it's KZ and then who after that? Sutton? They said Sutton was taking snaps at safety?
Did they cut Edmonds?
Yes.
Yeah, they cut Edmonds weeks ago,
Well, I thought they re-signed him to the practice squad. Maybe.
He might be on the practice squad. I don't know.
Although that does make me feel a little bit better because and I'm just going based on Steelers' history of our defense, the times I remember us really being gashed by running backs badly, they've mainly been guys we haven't expected us to gash us. The times we've had to stop those big guys, I remember us stopping them. But as far as the Eagles wide receivers, before we get into that in depth, David just mentioned something. Dave, starting with you, the A.J. Brown Hurts drama situation. How much of a role do you think that's going to play in this game, and do you think the Steelers can find a way to exploit that and just make one of them really pissed off?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get ahead, and get a lead and make them throw the ball. And if that starts to go south, I think I get the feeling that Eagles team with the coach and everything else, they're like a domino set up. And one little thing could knock the whole thing over because they're kind of, there's a lot of egos on that team. There's a lot of, me. They're very good. They've won, 7, 8 in a row already. I feel like one loss after another could really send that team spiraling. I don't know if there's anything in this game we can do to exploit the bad blood between Brown and Hurts. I mean, if I was the Steelers, I'd been talking all week of how good A.J. Brown could be on another team, or put that out in the media if they had a good quarterback, how good A.J. Brown could be. If you really wanted to get, Belichick in and start getting inside their heads.
Maybe they should ship him to Western Pennsylvania.
Shit, A.J. Brown could be great if he had a quarterback and keep throwing that in the press all week.
Yeah, A.J. Brown's tried to minimize this whole thing with him and Hurts. They were talking to him, the media was, and he was just like, oh, I didn't really mean like that's what I meant when I made the comment and all this other fucking bullshit. And you're just like, yeah, dude, sure. You waited how many fucking days to clarify what you meant? All of a sudden now you care? Like, yeah, dude, this in this game, if they struggle early, it could spiral for them and help the Steelers. Honestly, if they struggle in the very beginning and it's because he's throwing and not making a connection with them, oh yeah, dude, they could be going at it by halftime for all we know. So, yeah, it could definitely happen. If the Steelers can find a way to stop them and frustrate them, dude, that's huge for the Steelers.
Right. Don's got a point about this.
He did torch the Steelers that last time.
But he complained about targets big time last year before. I mean, there was real dissension. I mean, there was, by the end of the year, there was talk they could not coexist.
Right.
And they fixed it somehow, but they also couldn't coexist with Sirianni as well. I mean, I was listening to Joe Starkey yesterday, and he was talking about, Philly radio is acting like the Eagles are 5-7. They're 11-2, but they are on the coach. They are on the quarterback. There are legitimate calls for Kenny Pickett to play.
These people,
please let Kenny Pickett play.
You get one quarter of the Kenny Pickett experience. You'll be begging for Hurts to go back in there. I promise you that.
Yep.
I wonder who their third string guy is.
No idea. Let's hope we find out.
So how do these Steelers secondary guys, even with Deshaun Elliott out, how do they do against the Eagles wide receivers? So we'll take the drama out of it and just, you have really talented guys. So David, how do you think our secondary is going to match up against that? Especially now, because I didn't know their passing offense was that bad. I legitimately didn't know until you brought that up.
They're probably going to have to go more too high safety, honestly.
I don't know if you can because the running game.
Devonta Smith's a burner. I know that's the problem. Which one? If the passing game is the weakness, I don't know what to do then. The weakness in this, it's either you go too high to stop Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, or you're loading 8, 9 in the box to try to stop Saquon Barkley. So they're going to have to make a decision on doing one or the other. Or depending on the down or the scheme. It just depends. But me personally, if they start to throw on me and deep, I'm going to have to do something and go too high or something to that matter. They're going to go a lot of fucking zone. We know this. So I don't know. I'm not feeling good about it, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I would not. I mean, yes, A.J. Brown is terrific. I take nothing away from Devontae Smith. And yes, if Hurts launches a deep ball, better hope like hell Minka knows how to play center field, like they say he knows how to play center field as a single high safety. You cannot play too high against the Eagles and expect to stop Barkley. We're good. We're not that good against the run.
Yeah.
And if they do I doubt they'll do it because the Bengals with Burrow. They didn't care if Chase Brown ran. But if they make a mistake and go 6 in the box against Barkley and they hand him the ball, let's hope he's only 40, 50 yards away from the end zone because I don't want to watch a 99-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're gonna need a little bit. I'm not saying he is yet again. I have to clarify this in case anybody misunderstands. Minka's not Troy Polamalu. Let me just state that. We're gonna need him to tap into the little bit of that he does have. Where when we need him to be a linebacker, he's a linebacker. When we need him to be that middle guy, he's a middle guy because he got embarrassingly burned on that first Jameis Winston touchdown against the Browns, and after that he was locked in. I legitimately think that Mike Tomlin brought it up again multiple times on the screen. Hey, Minkah, what happened there? Minkah, where was your head there? I don't think he's going to make that mistake again. That was an embarrassing mistake that he fixed very, very quickly. I wonder how he's going to do transitioning back and forth like that, like we're going to need him to do. Because you're right, we're not going to beat Saquon Barkley without having those multiple guys up there. That's a great.
So
this is
Bob,
a huge Minkah game.
Do you have them go just one high then with Minkah, and then I wish we had Elliott to play up, but
I think you switch it out.
How do you plan for all three of those guys then?
You put KZ out in center field and you bring Minkah to the line of scrimmage.
So
I think that's the only way you stop him.
So you want Minkah up on the line instead of KZ?
You got to have Minkah up, but that's
he's
how I feel.
He's the best tackler.
He's a linebacker that can cover.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
Just take your chances and hope for the best. And if it starts to get away from you, then stop playing too high. Try to keep the score close. But
Minkah, in theory, is your best center fielder. So I don't know.
It doesn't matter if he's in center field.
I'll say this. How do you feel about Sutton and KZ's tackling ability? Do you not feel good about it? Is that why you want Minkah up?
I trust.
I also got to say this. I also kind of want Minkah back there, back in center field, because he's our last line of defense. If Saquon breaks one, he's our last hope to get him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I want him on the line. I may want him back in case we need him to make that life-saving tackle.
I bet you see him up.
I think you're forgetting about a key weapon, and this would be. It's creative, so Terrell Austin probably wouldn't do it. But if it's me.
All right.
And I want to play the line, I want to bring a safety down into the box. Okay. I'm not bringing a safety. I'm playing another inside linebacker. I'm having Peyton Wilson, Landon Roberts, and Patrick Queen on the field at the same time.
Could do that.
I swear to God, Bob, you read my fucking mind. I was going to bring this up to you guys tonight.
That's interesting.
I was going to bring this up to you tonight. I was going to say, hey, does this sound stupid to have those three guys all out there at the same time?
No, it doesn't. No,
okay. Thank you, Bob.
And if they go play action, he can cover a tight end or even like a slot receiver. Peyton Wilson's a pretty good athlete.
Because
he's the fastest guy on defense.
Right.
Legitimately the fastest guy.
It makes sense to have all three out there. All three can tackle, and you got fast guys in Queen and in Peyton Wilson to cover. So, dude, I'm so glad you said that, because I was going to bring that up tonight.
Yeah.
Now,
I think now is the time. Anything we've been holding back defensively, now's the time to bring out. You even more against Baltimore, but Philly, Kansas City, you want to stop these offenses. Although Kansas City is not Kansas City of old, but you want to stop these guys. You got to throw something different at them, and all of a sudden your 4-4, 4-5 linebacker running around and playing safety or blitzing off the corner. Mahomes and Hurts are going to look up and go, where did that guy come from?
Yeah.
Well, about our pass rushes, though, before we switch over to our offense, the Eagles have actually been very nice, makes us cocky and confident, saying that we trust our tackles one-on-one against the Steelers pass rush. We're not going to have to do the doubling up that everyone else has done. If they actually do that, how do you, Bob, do you think that is the legitimate way and these tackles can actually subdue TJ one-on-one like they're saying they can?
Look, we make a lot out of TJ getting chipped, and it's happened a lot this year. But there have been one-on-one where, people have handled Herbig, they've handled Highsmith, they've handled TJ. But if your strategy against the Pittsburgh Steelers is to block Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, and Nick Herbig one-on-one all game long, good luck. Good luck to you.
I mean, with Cincinnati tried it for a little while, right? And it didn't go too well. Yeah, they're talking out of their ass. They're not gonna leave TJ one-on-one. It won't last more than 2 series. I guarantee you that.
I could say some mean things right now if that's their game plan, but I'm not going to. However, you've had 14 sacks in the last 5 games, 5 in the Cowboys game alone. And then you wanted to go one-on-one with TJ Watt? Are you insane? Like, no, that'd be dumb on their part.
I mean, Lane Johnson's a very good tackle. He is a very good tackle. But
yes, absolutely. But
it's TJ Watt. That's why we watched. If you go back through the tape, whenever TJ does something, it's because they were dumb enough to leave him one-on-one. So
it's good on good. So if you go lane against TJ, and let's say that's a wash. Let's say TJ beats him a couple times, he stops him a couple times. You're going to go Alex Highsmith one-on-one. You're going to go Herbig one-on-one all game. I'm sorry, but you can't go one-on-one on both sides.
Their tackles are both good. Jordan Mailata's good too, so they can try it. I don't think it'll work. I hope they do.
I welcome that arrogance. I do think that's a bit arrogant. Like, I get that you trust your tackles, and, like we brought Andy Weidel and all that for the Philadelphia grittiness that we wanted, but that's really underestimating what we're able to do. What we've been able to do when we're not single covered on the outside, and you want to single cover us. So I'm glad that we're on the same page here, because when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's going to be up on a bulletin board in Pittsburgh all week. We're going to see that on Hard Knocks.
Only thing I'm concerned about, because they will probably play this like they play Lamar Jackson, where you got to stay disciplined in the rush lanes. And I'm sure it's rust, but Alex, especially last game, had several times where he lost contain on the outside. Jameis escaped for the touchdown for a couple of runs and a first down. You can't do that against Hurts, because he's not going to throw the ball like Jameis down the field to us half the time. He's going to take off and get 30 yards.
Yeah, he's definitely an issue. It's similar to Baltimore, it really is. Great running quarterback, great running back. Receivers you got to respect. So it's very similar.
And a running quarterback who wants to run.
Yeah.
He'd rather run than throw.
Yeah, probably more than Lamar now, because Lamar doesn't take off as much, but Jalen definitely does.
Yeah.
So switching over to the offensive side, it's an uphill battle for this offense. Even with George Pickens in, it was going to be an uphill battle because they have the second best pass defense and the eighth best rushing defense. They're top 10 in both. So you're probably gonna have to lean on the running game a little bit more, considering the receivers you have. But Dave, what do you do when you have that, considering our offense takes a little while to warm up anyway? What are we gonna see from our offense against the Steelers defense? I mean, against Eagles defense.
They have two linebackers with over 100 tackles already. Zach Bond has 129 tackles, 9 tackles for a loss, and 3.5 sacks. And then they have Nakobe Dean with 106 tackles. It's pretty ridiculous. This is such a talented football team. Like I said at the open, it's the most talented football team the Steelers have faced in a long time. And then you get 2 rookie corners playing great, and Jalen Carter as a defensive tackle. You can't start slow in this game. Arthur Smith's going to have to get creative, pull out all his tricks for this one, especially without George Pickens. And this is why I don't feel really comfortable with this game. It's a super talented team on the road. You got injuries. It's not good.
Yeah, we brought up the question last pod about how, are the Steelers defense, is it elite, right? If you want to talk about elite, the Eagles defense is number 1 in yards per game on defense. They're number 2 in passing yards. They're 8th in rushing, and that's their worst rank, is 8th in rushing yards. And points per game, they're 2nd at 18. They're just ahead of the Steelers. So that's probably what you'd want to call an elite defense when you're in top 3 out of 3 out of 4 categories. I guess because the worst thing they're at is stopping the run, then I guess you get creative with the run game. But you got to use fucking Jalen Warren more than just waiting to the second half. Yeah. I don't want to see CPAT this whole fucking game. From the very beginning.
None of us do.
Maybe the kick return, we want to see him.
You run Jalen Warren out there.
Jerome Bettis can't return kicks anymore, buddy.
I want to see Jalen Warren unleashed in this game. That to me is their probably their best chance at winning this game, is unleash him and Najee. Take turns. But you've got to play Jalen Warren more in the first half. It kills me to think how many points the Steelers would have if they would utilize Jalen Warren. That's just my opinion. I really think if they would utilize him more in the first half, they would have way more points. But that's just me, and that's the route I would go.
I think the other big thing is Pat's got to have a big game.
Absolutely.
That's how you beat the Eagles' defenses with tight end. So I think it's important that he has a big game. I think not so much the running game with Jalen, we got to hand the ball off, and we're the Steelers. We're going to hand the ball off more times than we'd all like. But I think this is where the screen game really has to come into play. And I want to give a shout out to our new biggest fan, Mr. Man Create God.
An Eagles fan snuck in here past our security system.
Yeah, I don't know what a parmini sandwich is, but I get what you're going for.
It was a good try. It was a good attempt. I appreciate the attempt to research into what would have upset Pittsburgh fans.
Poor guy. He says 16 viewers. He has no idea how many people are watching through Facebook and Twitter and all the other social medias. You fuckwad.
At least.
You're kidding me. Oh, you've called me. Okay, but why is Vaughn trying to manifest what is hurting?
Stop being a troll, Vaughn.
No toss, Vaughn. God damn it.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh.
Goodness gracious. So, what does this wide receiver group do? We can't get separation. We have Bob, what is there anything that these wide receivers can legitimately do to be dangerous?
Look, Mike Williams is 7'3", or let's hope he grows that tall by the time the game starts. The moon ball to Williams, I could see us maybe getting one or two of those. Maybe Calvin Austin, cooks a nickel corner for them. Although, man, if there's a better set of a secondary in the NFL, I don't know who it is. I mean, their secondary is ridiculous. So I don't know how much. Wide receivers almost have to be decoys in this game. Relic's favorite fan, Jefferson. Maybe he'll catch another, one pass, one touchdown type of deal. But I think it's Pat. I think it's Darnell Washington. I think it's McCole Pruitt. I think it's Jalen Warren. I would like to see the little dump off Sanaji again, like they did a couple of games ago against Cincinnati. Be creative with the passing game and do not hold the ball, because this is a different kind of pressure we're going to see here. We have been dealing with really good edge rushers. Not that Philly sucks at the edge rush. They're good. But Jalen Carter is a problem in the middle. Now we're going to see, hey, where are you in pass protection, Mason? Where are you, Zach? Where are you, Isaac? I think Isaac will be up for it if they line Carter up. But if I'm Philly, why the fuck would I line up over Isaac Sayamalu? Put Jalen Carter over Mason McCormick and make him prove it. I love Mason McCormick, big fan. We'll see if he's what we think he is this weekend.
I know I've told Dave this before. Howie Roseman is my favorite general manager in the entire. He's the best general manager in football. They had a problem with the secondary last year. They draft Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and now they're one of the best secondaries in football. I mean, he reacts. He doesn't wait. He's aggressive, and that's why this Philly team's so loaded. I will say the Philly linebackers are a little small. If you can get through the Jalen Carters and all those guys, Najee Harris might have some success running those guys over, but you got to get through that front line first. Guys like Nakobe Dean, they're a little smaller. Maybe you can push them around a little bit. I mean, the Steelers lead the league in time of possession. They really need to lead this game in time of possession if they want to win.
Yeah, they're going to have to be real creative in the run game, though. I mean, the toss and run into the tackles. It kind of hurts us because the strength of our run blocking is the middle three, and now all of a sudden you got Jalen Carter in there.
Jordan Davis. Those are big dudes.
It might force them to go outside more. That's going to suck.
Well, that's why Jalen Warren comes in.
And to Howie Roseman, I mean, yes, he's great and all, but I mean, come on, his strategy was pick the best Georgia defensive player for the last 3 years.
That's what the best players, honestly. That's what you picked.
Well,
David,
it's not just the wide receivers. It's Russell Wilson needing the time to get the ball to those wide receivers. So it's not just the wide receivers. Will Russell Wilson have enough time? Because he showed better pocket awareness. So I trust him to be able to move around. But can this offensive line, that's a good Philadelphia defensive line.
It definitely is.
It's a great line to me.
I think you're going to see a lot of quick throws because he was doing that this last game, correct? Didn't they say that he was like only waiting like 2 seconds?
Yep.
Yeah, it was. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that. And so I think, yes, he'll be able to get the ball out, but how effective will it be? I don't know. I'm not feeling good about it when you're going against a really, really good defense. So I think that's the plan. Get the ball out quick. They're going to use every receiver that we have. It's, a number 4 on anybody else's team, and hope for the best. And I don't feel good about it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, this might be the Scotty Miller breakout game. He's probably going to get 2 balls for 50 yards.
I was going to say, you're really expecting the Scotty Miller breakout game? Are you pulling out legs here? I was trying to look up a stat. I heard that.
Throw
like,
it to Skowronek.
Wait a minute.
It's a Pittsburgh guy. Skowronek. Throw it to Skowronek.
I'll bet you Sky doesn't know he's going to do that.
That's true. And Bob, this is where the offensive line's got to hold up. This is where we really get to see if these guys gelled as much as we think. Can we hold up against this kind of a pass rush?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's like I said, it's a different pass rush. We're going to see, and we're also going to see what's Russell Wilson do when it's coming up in his face versus okay, I know my tackles are kind of weak. I'm going to slide. But now I'm not going to slide. I got to back up, and he ain't the biggest guy to begin with.
He doesn't do that. He usually just falls down and where they kill him. Like, I don't know if you notice, he goes into the fetal position when they come up the middle. Like, he doesn't. That's what I see most of the time.
Yeah, I think that's most quarterbacks. But you know what? Honestly, if they really start getting pressure up the middle and it's a train wreck, I mean, they do have an answer for that. It's just going to be a question of whether they want to use him. And Russell's playing great. I understand you don't want to take him out of the game. I don't particularly want to take him out of the game. But you got to be situational. If the Eagles' corners don't play press man, then they're not doing their job. Play press man. Jalen Carter rushes up the middle, wreak havoc, see what happens. If that's the case, if that's the plan, real simple. Put Justin Fields in the shotgun. Let him push the middle of the pocket. Let him go, and all the corners have their backs turned. And let Justin Fields run for 400 yards.
I saw this comment, and it's true, but he didn't face the Eagles' defense with these wide receivers. he faced it with a whole better batch of wide receivers. So I don't want to be too doom and gloom. It's not like the Steelers have no chance to win this game, but it's gonna have to be a well-executed game plan to pull this one. Don't forget, it's on the road. Philly's a monster at home. They have so many talented players. The Steelers are banged up.
This is really a Tomlin
I'm struggling.
legacy game.
Felicia had the positive vibes.
It's a Tomlin legacy game. And honestly, this is the kind of game he usually surprises everyone and figures out a way to either make it close or win it. If this was the wild card round and we were going to Philly, I'd bet the over. I don't think we'd come within 30 points. But this ain't the wild card game. This is a game nobody expects us to win. Nobody thinks we're going to play particularly well. And if you've watched us in Philly since 65, you know that's probably the case. This could be okay. Everybody's eyes open. If Tomlin wants coach of the year, figure out a way to win this game.
If they win this game, they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Period. Full stop. If they go into Philly and beat Philly with a beat up, team. I don't know what else you could say. I'll never. Well, I will criticize Tomlin again, but I'll try not to criticize Tomlin again. I stopped myself this time.
You won't make it 48 hours.
I know I won't, but if this will be his most impressive coaching performance. If he figures out a way to beat the Eagles this week, I will be super impressed.
Tomlin outcoached Sirianni from Mean Green. I think I can.
Sirianni's not. I'm not that impressed with Sirianni.
You know what?
He's a dingbat.
But see, for me, it's so strange because they have technically their weakness is throwing the ball, and that's our weakness on defense is the secondary. So that kind of does give me some sliver of hope that maybe we can keep this close. So I think it's going to be close. I think it's actually going to be within 7 points.
This is what Mean Green brought up right here is a big reason why I feel a little bit better about it, because I was fully expecting a nasty 50 burger stomping, and the fact that it was as close as it was It didn't mean that that was the real Eagles or whatever, because we said it wasn't us against the Browns, but gave me a little bit more hope. Now, before we wind it around to the predictions, Dave brought up something I want to just everyone touch on. Is this a Justin Fields X factor game, or is this not one where you mess with that?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It is.
I'm usually the one pushing for Justin Fields to get more snaps, but I ain't sure why not. You just throw everything against the wall, see what works in this game. Maybe you get a big run, maybe you get a momentum switch. Don't leave anything. Try everything.
Actually, yeah, I would use them, because there's another thing about this is could it factor in they put him out there a decent amounts because they don't want to risk too much with Wilson as well. That's something to me we haven't thought about, is that, hey, we don't want to see Russell Wilson get hurt in a game that's not going to affect us as much as that Baltimore game. So but we might see a lot more of him just for that in general.
Tomlin, we talked about Tomlin. It makes all sense in the world, but Tomlin's so freaking competitive that he's gonna.
He didn't even make it 5 minutes, and he's complaining.
No, but this is a positive. Tomlin is very. I'm actually complimenting him. He's so competitive that he's not gonna let players rest. He's not gonna say, "Ooh, maybe I should save Russell Wilson for next week." He's gonna grind him into a nub.
You're right.
That's just the way Tomlin is. That's just what he does.
To his credit and to his detriment.
Yeah.
He wants to win every game. But sometimes,
until they clinch their position in the playoffs, he's going to play everybody and play everybody a lot. Just no way around.
Load management in the NFL, baby. Especially
he's done a good job with Cam this year, though. I will give him credit for that. They have given Cam a lot of time off, which is good. That's something that's outside his character.
Yeah. And I think Cam has played better because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I like that. My biggest thing with Arthur Smith is I understand we wanted to throw all the stuff against the wall. I want him to stop with the tricks. I want him to stop trying to be too creative. I want him to stop trying to play chess. I want him to look at the players he has, look at the list of strengths next to them, and call plays based on that, and that is all. Because if he did that, we wouldn't be tossing to Najee. We wouldn't be doing... To me, this is a simplistic game where if I was going into Madden, I'm like, this is going to be one of the most boring games I've ever played, because it's fundamental football, running up the middle and just do everything right. But I don't know if Arthur Smith can do that. This season, I've seen him try too many weird things in weird times that I don't trust him to be the right kind of creative right now. I just don't. But as far as predictions of this fun game, I think for the first time in a while, I'm wondering if we're not everyone's going to be on the Steelers side. So, Bob, what are you thinking as far as your prediction for this game?
Here's the key to the game, in my opinion. There's only two teams in the NFL who can say this. The Steelers have intercepted more passes than they've given up touchdowns. The only other team that's done that is the Vikings. The key to the game is you got to turn Jalen Hurts over once. One turnover that has to lead to points. Ball control, time of possession. I think the Steelers' pass rush will figure out a way, or Philly will be dumb enough to play for a whole half one-on-one, and T.J. Watt will have wrecked the game by then. Steelers get up, I think, because Philly will start slow. They get out to like 13-3, and we end up winning this game 23-21.
It's a good start. Bob, Dave, are you going to wreck my momentum?
Wait, Bob, you said Steelers win 23-21?
Steelers 23-21.
I am not nearly as optimistic as Bob is for this game. I just think it's too much going against the Steelers. This team's too good. They're too banged up. It's a road game. I'm going to say 31-20 Eagles. Comfortable win for Philly.
My heart. Yeah. It's hurting my heart. David, you're going to hurt my heart too?
Yep. Not going to get much better. So to Bob's thing real quick about the turnovers. The Steelers are number 1 in the league in turnover ratio, plus 17. The Eagles are 9th at plus 4. So they're just barely over, in the plus. So Bob's got a point there. There definitely could be a turnover. They need to get 1 to 2 to win this game. I could see maybe 1, but there's just a little too much. The defense for them is elite, in my opinion. And then their offense has got a lot of playmakers, obviously. So if the Steelers weren't so banged up, losing Elliott and George Pickens, that's too much. Away game, I got them losing 28-24.
Covering. Okay. Covering.
I know. Hey, I think I'm going to make Eagles lock of the week again. I'm going to do this. I'm wrecking my fucking record in picks, but I'm doing it for the good of the Steelers, for the good of the group.
What? The good of the group.
That, because I'm plummeting already enough, let alone on purpose trying to whatever. Just remember I did this for us.
I'll remember. I'm very much like Leanne in this. I don't remember the last time I went into a game and said, hey, the Steelers aren't going to win this, because I'll adjust my reality to, hey, how can the Steelers win this? And if the Steelers win this, it's going to be a low-scoring, ugly defensive game. So I'm going to say 18-15 Steelers. Like an ugly, low-scoring defensive game that no one expects. I think we're going to bottle up Saquon, force them into passing, and neither offense is going to do a thing all game. I genuinely believe that.
I also win $1 million. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, if both of those things happen, then we'll split it. So there we go. Once we get the update from Holiday Leanne, then we will get that. But we'll put all these on Twitter as we always do. So, David, starting with you, going around. Any X factors, any final thoughts about this game that you want to leave people with?
You said David, right? Me? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Okay. Nice. Look, I just, if we, like I said this earlier, I feel like we're going in here limping into this game now. I really do. When you're missing probably your best tackler on defense in Elliott, and then you're missing your best wide receiver in Pickens, this is not a really bad Browns team. This is one of the best teams in the NFL. There's reality to deal with here, and that's it. X factors. If we can somehow run the ball and get the ball to Muth, then we got a shot.
I like that.
So
I like that. Bob, what are you gonna leave us with?
I mean, the key to this game, from a fan perspective, is remember what we're dealing with here. Okay, the last time we played Philly in Philly, Kenny Pickett was terrible. The time before that, Ben Roethlisberger was terrible. The time before that, measured expectations. We don't just lose in Philly, we get blown out. So if somehow with this ragtag group of underdogs that are going to roll into Philly, we figure out a way to either win a close game or lose a close game, it's progress. It's progress. The world isn't ending, even though I'm sure the Mike Greenbergs and the Rex Ryans and everybody else will come out and say, oh, stay there. They can't win. They can't do this. We're playing shorthanded, measured expectations. I truly think we could win the game, but a lot of things are going to have to go right for us to win the game. So if things go wrong and it's still close, don't get depressed about it. We play Baltimore next week. We beat Baltimore. We win the division. We host a home playoff game. All is right in the world for Christmas.
For me, the X factor in this game is Minkah Fitzpatrick. Mr. $21 million safety. Have a big game. Give me 13 tackles. God forbid an interception. Turn the game around. Fumble recovery. Cause a fumble. If he does that and he plays at an elite level, maybe this team can win on the road. They need him to step up big time. They need him all over Saquon Barkley. They need him to play center field. They need him to do it all. So if he does that, maybe you can squeak out a win here.
I like Felicia's positive energy. I like bringing that. My one concern, I'm going to be watching very, very carefully, is if we win this game, we pull it out somehow. I want to see how people move the goalposts on us again. It's like, but. Because I highly doubt no matter how we win this game, people are going to say, well, the Steelers are better now. No, they're going to be like, well, the Eagles really lost this game, didn't they? That's what I'm going to be waiting for, because a lot of people are like, well, the Steelers reserve their laurels and they win this game. We're not going to get that. Unless we hold up the Super Bowl trophy, we're not getting our laurels this year from anybody other than the Steeler fans.
You know, there's more on ESPN will. That's what they'll do.
Yep, it will. And honestly, so will Mark Madden. So, because we all know what big of a fan I am of him. So, because he's, although I did see there was, I think I must have been ill or something, because there was a positive headline that I don't think he edited correctly before it went out like a couple weeks ago. So, someone check on Mark Madden. But if you guys have made it this far with us, we really, really appreciate that. We're seeing tons of new faces in the chat. We love that. Even if you're an Eagles fan, we might insult you directly to your face, but we like that you're here, so we appreciate that. So if you want to get insulted and you're on the opponent's team, come on in. We'll do it for you. Make sure you subscribe. It's the holidays. Time get really, really hectic. So there's a little bell button. You can push that, so you always know when we jump on, because we might do lives here and there that we don't get a chance to actually put out. So we'll hopefully all be back next time. And go Steelers. Let's see if we're able to do this. Everybody have a incredibly safe week.
Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.